Is this thing
not
on?
die.
It's always going to be interesting to see what the recording picks up.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be the one word that probably shouldn't have went to air. Yeah,
bit of controversy. Never hurt anyone. It's all Luke. Luke's in the shit today. It's not me. That's nice.
I thought I was in leather.
For once, it's not me. Well,
it's faux leather, guys. This isn't real. I don't believe in animals unless you have to.
Don't they like tan the leather in urine and stuff? So you're in some kind of bodily fluid. It's all good.
Oh, no. This one's... No, it's synthetic. Still. It's fake.
Hello, says Dogsy, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, theys, thems, and everyone under the spectrum to UC are live for another... Oh, we're here. We're here. My internet connection is hanging on by a thread, just like my sanity. That's okay.
So Steve is tethered to his phone right now, so it kind of fits in with the theme of the show. Great.
That's why I called the show "Barely Tethered to Reality" because I am barely tethered to reality. You you always forget one thing. So when I lost my wallet, but didn't lose my wallet a couple of weeks ago and cancelled my card, I was like, make sure all the direct debits are set up. It'll be fine. No worries. All the payments came out except the internet payment.
Oh, the one you needed, dolls.
Yeah, I went to get on yesterday. Yeah, I went to get on yesterday and dead silence. So that took about 45 minutes. They said last night that we were... Well, they couldn't reactivate the account, so I had to open a new account. It was a whole big thing. And apparently it's done, but they just said it could take up to 2 working days to get to, back to normal. So
normal. Oh, jeez.
It's a Friday
as well.
No, so we'll see. Look, as I said, we're struggling on. We have a can-do attitude, and that's all that really matters. Yeah.
Goals.
Guys, if we wrap up today's show under the hour mark, we apologise, but you know what? We need Steve, and if he's dropping in and out, it's no good to us.
There once was a time
when I could do stuff. Yeah,
there was an era of BS. Remember?
Yes, before Steve. I do remember watching those episodes. And I'm like, I'm not good.
Organization. I just like to crack a whip.
Before video, when we did it all.
Yeah, and you all did it by yourself, but you had another slave, or you had 2 slave drivers before me, so it's all right. We did. We just they burn out after a while. they burn out after a while. And they just gotta, it's
Steve.
like
the last one browned out.
Well, it's like a certain Slayer. We'll go there straight away because
we're gonna do hot load of hot topics straight up.
We'll talk about it in a minute. It's all good. Okay. We've got exciting news for people that are fans of Buffy the Vampire Slayer this week. Breaking news at that. But how is everyone's week? Yeah, let's talk about why you're in a leather jacket.
Well, I'm in a leather jacket because I am in Brisbane right now, so it is quite cool here. It's been raining a lot. We're down here. My daughter had tonsillectomy and adenectomy, so we have to stay here for 2 weeks because the risk of post-op complications where we live, apparently there's no ENTs, so we need to stay. So we're here until at least next Thursday, but I think we need to stay longer because her surgery was a Friday, so her review should be 2 weeks from the surgery date. I don't know. I'll call them today at some point and say, hey, was there a mistake?
I thought the United States was the only place with healthcare deserts.
Oh, no, we've got deserts here, but we've also got good funding to, send us to a metropolitan area where we can get our stuff done.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's all done. Actually, look, I will say, and I hope she's not listening right now, it is horrific to have your child sitting there begging you to take them out of the hospital because she listened to one of the doctors talking to me about post-op complications. So it put the fear in her. And so I had to lay in the bed and be wheeled into theatre with her to keep her in the bed. And then, when they put her out, it was not nice. I had me little cry after, but at the time I'm like, we just need to get this done. Like, just do it, and I'll deal with my emotions later. And then she come out, she was fine. She said that she had a wonderful dream and
That's great.
regular pain relief. Last night she had a bit of pain. She kicked me while I was asleep because I wasn't waking up for her quick enough. But that's okay, I forgive.
There's nothing like compartmentalizing your trauma to get on with your day,
Yes.
That's it. It's a great skill. I told you, you disassociate it and keep going.
How winners have been dealing with it since day dot. We'll deal with that stuff later. Move on, move up, move on, move out. How is the lovely Christina this week?
I mean, I'm good, man. I mean, I'm coasting. Work's been crazy. It just I'm having post-traumatic stress from my tonsillectomy. I got mine out 11 years ago, so I remember it. I wasn't a kid, and I remember just having
scary, even for an adult. When I got wheeled into surgery, up until when I was getting wheeled in, I was completely fine. I was all gung-ho about it. It's that moment when you're getting wheeled in, you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Is this it? Yeah.
And I told them, I said, listen, I said, I feel like I'm going to die in there, because I have a very large fear of hospitals. I always have. And I had said, I was like, I feel like I'm going to die. And then they gave me anti-anxiety medicine beforehand. And I was floating on cloud 9 in pre-op. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I'm good. And then I was okay when I fell asleep. When they woke me up, I couldn't breathe. I didn't get my adenoids out. I only got my tonsils out, but I couldn't breathe. And the woman, I'm like, I can't breathe. And I'm trying to sit up. And this nurse is pushing me down back to the bed. And she goes, through your nose. And she is just screaming at me. She goes, through your nose. And I'm like, again, I just woke up. And I had this, I couldn't breathe. I am terrified this woman screaming in my face. I'm like, oh my God.
You should have done me, Christina. When I woke up after my surgery, I don't remember, but apparently I was punching out people, and I'm like,
oh my
what?
God.
I'm like, no. I didn't. And they're like, yeah, some people apparently have that reaction. As I come out, it was just.
I've never had those complications from any of my surgeries. Yeah. And I woke up while they were doing my knee.
Oh, no.
Yeah. When they're doing my second knee, I was lying there and I could hear them talking. And I could hear the clank, clank.
Oh, Vera.
I didn't feel it, but I could hear it. And I kept saying, I can hear you. I can hear you. And all of a sudden somebody's like, she hears us. And everybody's throwing them.
Oh
but
my
God!
God!
I never really had that dread. I never really had that.
Did you sue?
No, I didn't feel the pain. I just heard them. No,
are you
that
fucking
traumatic
kidding
for me?
What was the anesthesiologist doing? Sleeping at the fucking wheel?
I
someone was.
Feel it. I just woke up. I just was only coming back into consciousness.
Oh my God! No, there's a great episode about that, and the woman wants to sue the hospital.
Well, some people, have a lot more tolerance to anesthesia. So, Vera probably just.
Well, actually, our family has a history of malignant hyperthermia, so I can't have a lot of anesthesias because they're life-threatening for us.
Yeah.
So whatever I had was probably not one of the more effective ones. But I didn't feel any pain. I just heard, and being a nurse, I knew what was going on. It's I can hear you. I don't want to hear you. I can hear you.
I can hear my knee getting chiseled.
Doxy says, nah, that punching thing is real. There's nothing better than being held down by a 5'0" nurse who's seen it all before because you hit the sleepy juice too hard.
I was going to say, though, that woman was probably screaming at you because you were under. And she was trying to penetrate the fog.
I don't know. I don't remember. I remember waking up and being like because they were like, they shake you. You know how they like,
Right.
you
The
shake
chest rub,
somebody.
the sternal rub.
Yeah, it's like a chest rub. So I remember
That just
that
turned my
feeling.
whole concept or my whole camera
And
setup.
yeah, I just couldn't take, like, I couldn't breathe. It was just like anytime I tried, like, I thought my throat was closing up. And and that's when I said, I was like, yeah, breathe. And she just kept pushing me down. And she's like, "Ah," like, that's literally all I remember until my parents came in and picked me up. It was awful because the whole situation was awful. But beforehand,
Needed me there, Bubs. I could have went all Buffy
God,
the Vampire Slayer on.
right? My parents hated me going into there because, like, we had gotten into a fight the day before. It was a whole big scenario. And and so I didn't, like I said, I thought I was gonna die going in, and then when I came in, like, when they came into recovery, I thought, like, I saw a disappointed look on my dad's face because, like, I was
You
still,
made
like,
it through.
yeah, like, since I made it through, like,
Oh, she's still
not even
here.
fucking kidding me, like, I'm not even fucking kidding you. It's sickening, but I mean, I love my dad today, like, we're great, but, back then, no, it was a bad day before, and even
Oh,
driving home, I'm like, "Can you ease up on the bumps?" He didn't give a fuck. I felt like he was hitting every bump on the way home, like,
I
oh
remember
dear.
my endoscopy. They said the anesthesiologist said, "All right, count backwards from 100." So I'm like 99, 98, 97, and when I woke up, I'm like 96.
that's
That's some
great.
good shit. They hit you with the
Yeah.
Michael Jackson propofol shit that
Yeah.
time. Like, shit out.
Oh, it's amazing the kind of drugs they give, because like when I
Oh.
got the discharge summary, I'm like, oh my gosh, my kid's been on fentanyl, propofol,
Mhm.
diazepam. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then I found out that my youngest one now had to have a dilation test where they dilate their pupils with cocaine. He's
Oh.
like a few months
What?
old, and he's like screaming in the background when I was on the phone to his mum, and I'm like, "Is that like Miller, the older kid?" And she's like, "No, that's the baby." I'm like, "Whoa!" And I was like,
He's
"What happened?"
coming
And
off.
she's
He's
like,
coming off the cocaine.
"Yeah," she's
Ah.
like, "Just some coke," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I got one kid on fentanyl, one on coke. I said, "I've done great, haven't I?"
So,
What can you say? You know,
oh my
we're
God.
up in the club scene.
I'll
Oh
be ready
my
for their
God.
teenage years. It's all good. Just
Yeah.
get them ready early.
No,
get them
don't do
prepped.
fentanyl, kids. Fentanyl's not cute.
Fentanyl's bad. Fentanyl
Yeah.
is bad.
The
Fentanyl's
stuff I
bad,
saw near
bud.
Disneyland, mate, there was a show on the way to the park every day, and I was like, "Oh
Fentanyl's
no!"
bad and poo.
Yeah, it was like Walking Dead on the way to the Disneyland park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like,
Disney hasn't cleared.
No.
Disney haven't cleared up the undesirables yet. You know.
yeah, no,
Anaheim.
they need Mickey out there with a fire hose.
Sleep, bro. You can't go home, but you can't stay here, huh?
Yeah.
You junkies. Goals, goals, Mickey. It's a whole big thing.
Oh my
A
God.
whole big thing. Oh well, we might
Every
as
time I
well.
laugh, I cough.
Have you got anything else to add, Vera? I nearly disregarded Vera.
Well,
How
I
are you?
ended up in urgent care on Monday because I went to work and I just couldn't stop coughing. I got bronchitis secondary to allergic rhinitis.
I got bronchitis. You gotta say it like that.
Nobody got time for that.
Got time for that?
I do think that I have some residual lung damage from when I had COVID. Because I never had any of these post-allergic reactions.
Well, Vera, I fear that
Since
like
COVID.
every time we get COVID, I feel like it does a bigger number on your organs, because the first few times I had COVID, I only had like bad headaches and, a bit of like, I just felt really lethargic and out of it. This time it really attacked my lungs and my sinuses, and I was really unwell. And I'm still not 100%.
I got on the Paxlovid within 24 hours.
Yeah.
Can't relate.
I don't meet the criteria.
Allergies are fucking
I
weird,
do.
you know.
They're like, he'll be
Can't
right.
relate. Can't relate. Have had so many vaccinations. I've got. You would think I would have better Wi-Fi, but
Oh yeah.
But you don't.
But you
I've
don't.
only had
Tethered.
maybe I've only had COVID once though, so rock and roll.
Yeah.
Dogsy says, I remember after my accident at work, I was in and out, and the nurse and the doctor were talking about Warhammer, then looking at me, asking me if I was still awake.
Oh,
Is that the
What's
British
Warhammer?
healthcare system? Is that the British healthcare system or the
Right.
American healthcare system, dog?
It sounds
That's
British.
a bit of a concern.
Sounds
Warhammer's a
British.
role-playing game.
Yeah.
Oh,
It sounds like
Warhammer's a
they were
role-play.
Brits.
I will say for the nurses and doctors, once they realized I was talking to them, they couldn't have moved faster.
Oh shit,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
awake.
You would have scared the shit out of them.
Load up.
I think I did. I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Put the
Hello.
bottle away. She's up.
Oh,
Well,
well, Dallas,
you're about-
Texas.
You're about
That's
to
what
hear
Doxy
us
said.
because we are going to go.
Hot load of hot topics.
Ready to dive in.
That's
Let's
it.
dive in.
We're
I
cupping
know.
it. We're
Let's
cupping
dive
it.
in.
We're ready. We're diving. Oh god, the wrong
Katrina's
direction.
boobs were really jiggling there, though, weren't they? Like really going
She was
for it.
shaking. She was
She did
letting
that
it loose.
especially for us. I think
She
she
did.
I know.
She,
Special people.
she auditioned the undergarments.
Oh, we got a love heart. I think we got a love heart for Katrina's shaking boobs.
That's good. That's good.
That's
they
cool. We
deserve
love
lots
that.
of love.
They do
do.
love.
They
We
do.
do. Oh,
They
look,
moves
it's
like
been
that,
a bit
I
of a
rule the world.
week. And it's a bit of a week that is like unfolding as we speak. There's been big news this week, especially for the Menendez brothers.
Oh.
Now,
Oh my god.
their trial, their resentencing was successful. Their life imprisonment is no longer standing. They are 50
Wait, pop them
years, I
back up.
believe.
That one on the right's kind of hot.
That's how they get their, that's how they get their wives. That's how they get their wives in jail. But Eric and Lyle, obviously, infamous / famous for the killing of their parents, are looking at a shot at freedom after 35 years in jail. So
Listen,
yeah, their original
I've
sentence
got
was life
doubts.
without parole.
I've
That's
got
50 years to
doubts.
life.
I feel like the story of abuse was fabricated after the murder.
No, well, that's what the prosecution said.
I'm on the prosecution
I remember,
team then.
I remember
'cause-
the trial.
I just don't know.
It's a documentary too.
It seems very convenient, like, oh, they were deserving victims. Like,
The concept of boys getting sexually abused was not a public concept then. It was very shocking, and they were accused of making it up from the minute it started. But the conversation with the cousin is what really sold me on the fact that they were definitely being abused.
okay, well, there's obviously a lot more
do
to
you
it.
know
Like,
about the conversation with the cousin?
no, can you tell
The
me?
cousin testified that that he, and I believe it was the older, I don't know if the older is Lyle or Eric, but that he and the older brother, the cousins were all very close, and that they were playing golf or they were playing tennis, they were doing something, and I think it was Eric, but it could be Lyle, I'm not sure. Eric said to him, he said, so, you know, does your dad touch you in this way? Or doesn't your dad touch you in this way? I don't remember how the conversation started. But the cousin was horrified by the stuff that the Eric was telling him. He was like shocked. He's like, nobody does that. That's not real. And the brother became very guarded and very shut down. He said, no, I'm just joking. It's a joke. And the cousin never forgot that conversation. And that cousin's testimony sold me. I think they were convicted, rightfully, they did commit homicide, but that there were extenuating circumstances.
As Joe says, it's not an isolated incident either. Members of the boy band Menudo are coming forward saying that they were also raped by Jose Menendez.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
Yeah.
so he was like a proper serial
You know,
piece
predator.
of shit.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
35 years ago, it wasn't common for boys to claim sexual abuse. And that was
And-
what made it shocking and scintillating.
And especially the fact that they were affluent, you know, like
right.
they were seen as these playboy, you know, rich kids that were doing it for the money. And yeah, look, it's a very hard question to ask. Obviously, they have served time. They've served time.
They've served their lives. They're old men now.
Yeah. I don't
They
know
were young
whether
boys.
you know, and you can always question things after the fact, but did their mother really need to die as well?
Who knows what her part in? I mean,
You know, yeah,
knows
like we're
what
never
the
going to know
dynamic
the
was? None of us were
specifics,
there.
and
There
that's
was
what
also
I
an
think.
aunt who questioned the father's
I
treatment
think one of
him.
the uncles did too. I remember when
The
this
aunt
first
felt
was
that the
happening.
father was always inappropriate with his sons.
Yeah. So it's a really hard line to walk because yes, they are victims of, you know, horrible crimes against them, but they also committed horrible crimes.
Crime. Yeah.
But
It's like
is a
Gypsy as well. Like,
is a horrible crime to a horrible person that horrible?
Well,
You know,
you know
that's
what?
what we have to ask
Table
ourselves.
all in
If
its
it
No.
was if it was me, probably, you know, I would have probably killed them too. But, you know, it wouldn't mean that I don't deserve a consequence either. But
Right.
because
they
there's
turned
there's
themselves
more.
in right away.
Yeah. So Joe said,
See,
yeah. So the mother allegedly knew. So yeah, look,
Listen,
Not
it's-
anymore.
I know someone who killed their dad, and it was because of that whole situation. Same shit, only like there was obviously different scenarios,
yeah.
but same, you know, what torture, I guess, torturous life. And you know what? He's doing amazing today, and he's still a good friend. So it's not like it's. I mean, he did his time. He was arrested. He did his jail time, all that shit. He got out, and now he's reformed. It's like you know, nobody blames him for it either, because we all knew what happened, what he went through. However, this is more of a premeditated, I think, situation than what my friend had gone through, where it was just like kind of
Well, it's
in the
also,
moment.
do they pose a risk to the rest of society? And probably
Right.
not.
And
Like,
I would
the
question.
phone
Yeah,
call, they turned themselves in.
yeah.
The
I
older
would.
brother
Yeah.
called and said, "I've just killed my father," and he's sobbing, and you can hear the brother sobbing in the background.
Yeah.
There's
You know?
remorse there, and I think that's the biggest thing. Even in their statements that they admit what they did was wrong, that it is a crime. I think that's what differentiates them from people like Susan Atkins of the Manson
Right.
family, who wanted compassionate release because she was dying of cancer, but had never expressed any remorse for, you know,
Yeah.
or
for
what
her
about our
actions
beautiful
in killing
little
Sharon Tate, etc.
What about our beautiful little mushroom cooker here, the Wellington pie girl, beef Wellington, and she had a dehydrator and everything found in her home.
Oh
So
my God! Was she like Sweeney Todd?
She gave them
Yeah.
poison pies to her family, her in-laws, because she hated them, and she wanted the husband there too. But I think he never came to lunch. He sort of knew
He
that
never
it was
came to
dodged.
lunch. Yes.
Yeah.
There's a beef Wellington of doom. That trial is still playing
God.
out at the moment here.
Yeah.
Yes, we shall. And look, at least the family said the beef Wellington was delicious until it wasn't. So you know,
Well, look,
that's a lot of trouble. That's a lot of trouble to go through.
Her, you know how you can make those figurines now in ChatGPT?
The AI
I may have made her. I don't know
Erin
if you can see it.
Patterson, gorgeous.
Oh my God.
Mushroom extraordinaire.
Yeah.
She has a mushroom recipes book. I think it's amazing. It would sell well. Erin, if you're out there, if you want me to, like, I don't know, make money from your likeness, give me permission. I will. I won't give you any though, because you're a murderer.
Beef Wellington is not an easy dish to make. So you know,
It's not.
Since I've heard about this, I'm like, I really want some beef Wellington.
Oh, my dad used to make a mean beef Wellington. Oh, stop it. It's a good thing about being the child of a chef. Every now and then they used to get like a bit, how you going? And you'd come home and there's this 3-course meal. You're like, woo, interesting. What are we eating
Never
today?
tried.
Never tried?
It's
Oh,
good.
good.
I'm
I
not a fan
enjoy
of
this.
mushrooms. Can you taste the mushrooms?
That Joe wrote.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wait, I can't
She
click it.
dodged a bullet and a mushroom. I saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so Menendez, I think people are expecting them to be out soon. Is the general vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we shall see. It is a breaking, developing story. You know, Dogsy. We could use this evidence: mushroom soup, involuntary Wellington, premeditated. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. Another developing story, because it is literally happening as we go to air. The Diddy trial has begun, and Cassie Ventura has hit the stands. Now,
This is her second day.
Second day, yeah, she's just taken.
Day, no?
Yeah, no, third day
maybe
now, isn't it?
third.
Yeah, third day. Thursday's the third day. Yeah. So she has hit the stands, and I didn't realize, and I don't think anyone realized how high definition that footage was from the elevator. Because what we had seen was very grainy, but now the full HD is out there of him chasing her down and smacking her out, and
stomping her.
I heard that was only a bit of it.
Yeah, so they were showing 15. I think it was 15 minutes of that footage.
Oh
15 minutes
of
her being beaten, and etc. For those. Sorry, I should have probably come up with a bit of a trigger warning for this, but this is the world we live in, folks.
Like, what's his excuse for that? Was he like?
He doesn't have an excuse. But they are the defense are questioning her now, and they're bringing up some very gross things and saying that she was implicit in everything. So Ventura testified that Combs had blackmailed her, threatening her to release explicit videos of her participating in so-called freak-offs with male escorts that Ventura took part in and Combs directed and orchestrated. They were also shown explicit images from the freak-offs. So he's that stupid that there are still, if you're going to do something like this, you don't keep footage.
Yeah.
Well, that's what the raid was all about.
Yeah.
If you erase that shit, they can find it.
Yeah. This is so. Cassie was asked on the store. Oh my god, I can't speak today.
On the stand.
That's what I was trying to say. On the stand, why she had decided to come forward and testify against Coombs. She said that I can't carry this anymore. I can't carry the shame, the guilt, the way I was guided to treat people like they were disposable. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. I'm here to do the right thing. Now, this all came about when Cassie filed a civil suit against Puffy in 2023, accusing him of physical and sexual abuse. Yeah, that's what it used to be known as.
It was once his name, yeah.
And this is what opened the door. Now, so the defense are now attacking her for the hush money she was given. Was the hush money not the settlement from?
I was gonna say that was a settlement
from the civil suit, which is $30 million. So,
and you know
that's not hush money. That's
and if you're in an abusive relationship, you are going to be under coercive control. So I'm sure she may have participated in things that would be completely out of character, but she probably felt she had no choice. I'm not making.
That's what they're saying now, because they were saying that she was. They're alleging and saying that she was involved even when she wasn't with him briefly. And if someone like that, so we have to throw our minds back to the early 2000s when Cassie was a new artist. Like before all this, she was a singer, she was a performer, and he, as they tend to do, as predators tend to do, saw a target and went for her, trapped her in a situation that became worse and worse. And of course, I think, as Luke said, and she says that she was guided to treat people in a certain way, because
we've seen the consequences of her going against what he wants.
That's what she said. She goes, I was terrified for my life. If I wouldn't have gone this, because they said that she had to be complicit because she had to go out and get men for these freak offs as well. She had to bring men in too. So she had brought in somebody, and then again, they're asking her, well, why would you do this? I feared for my fucking life. Like, that's
Because
why. You see
what
the video.
what
he's
happens when you
clearly
say no?
addicted.
What happens when you say no?
Exactly.
We
You
You
can't
know?
saw.
get beat. Like, right? Like, what the fuck? You either don't get your money or you get beat. Like, what's the incentive? Like, come on. You know,
Yeah.
I just.
And look, it's really interesting to look back. I'll never get justice. Dogsy says, I will never get the justice system. Someone who allegedly off a healthcare CEO professional, federal case, every trick in the book. Absolute wank basket, not a finger lifted. But
Yeah.
Diddy is. This is one of
the
the.
victim.
Yeah, this is
CEO
one
had
of
big
the.
bucks. The other
Yeah.
victims had nothing.
This is
Yeah,
one of.
she's trash. Exactly.
I feel bad saying it, but this is like one of Hollywood's like worst kept dirty secrets.
Oh, yeah.
This stuff has like before this lawsuit, people knew that stuff was going on. I don't think they knew, and we don't know yet either.
Oh,
To
it
the
goes all the
extent-
way back to 1920s.
As
There's
well,
a
as soon
very
as anyone's
famous
been
murder
famous.
case.
Some of
Fatty
Biggie's
Arbuckle.
songs had lyrics about this shit in it.
Yeah.
So Biggie might have been in on it too. That's how long ago this shit goes back. Like, it's,
There was
I
a
mean,
very
the
famous
Biggie time, you know.
case in the 20s in Hollywood where a guy, Fatty Arbuckle, was at a party and he decided to make a young girl have sex with a Coke bottle, and the bottle broke and the girl died. You know, very famous murder case.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
There's all. I think that what the main gist is, there is always going to be someone that is willing to victimize someone else for their own pleasure, for their own gain, for their own whatever.
And there are
there has
people
been
that are going to be lured in by those predators with the promise
there has
glory,
promise
and
of fame, money, glory, security, love, all that kind of
Yes.
stuff. You know,
Mhm.
it's not necessarily one thing. There has been a bit of hullabaloo in the case that a key witness is getting cold feet about stepping forward now that it is actually happening, because this has been in the ether for however long, but now the trial has started, and I think no matter how famous you are, because there is a list of names that the jury were referenced to ask, you know, I think it was 150 names, celebrity names that, you know, might be brought up during the case. And that was part of the jury selection, that they had to go through all of these names and declare whether they had ties to, etc., etc. So this is the tip of the iceberg here, and I think it's going to get really, really messy. But at the end of the day, I think hopefully justice will prevail, and we'll see Diddy
Cat
get
Williams,
his just
the
desserts.
comedian, has been saying for years that P. Diddy derailed his career.
Cat Williams,
Yeah.
Jaguar Wright, lots of people.
50 Cent.
There's lots of
50
people.
Cent goes under the bus constantly.
Even Aubrey O'Day from Danny Kane. Aubrey had a very interesting thing to say this week. She was on a podcast. You know, she was a protege of Diddy. For those of us that remember making the band,
Man.
Aubrey was like a sole survivor of one season of making the band, and he believed in her star power so much that he basically created a girl band around her that was Danny Kane. But she says it's really hard to reconcile somebody that saw me and saw my potential and gave me the life I have is also this monster, and I've known he's a monster. But how do I separate that from the gifts that I have been able to share because he saw something in me? Does that make me a bad person? Like, it's a hard conversation to have when the person that discovered you and, you know, really, he put her through hell as well, but she can see, he gave her that life. It's the sacrifice, you know, is the sacrifice of fame really worth it?
Hundreds of women in Hollywood history can tell
thousands.
That story.
Thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands. Let's not forget.
Marilyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thousands of people that you'll never know their names, but this is the point, I think, of someone like Cassie standing up so that even the people that the disposable whoever's get a little bit of justice, because for every mainstream case there are thousands and thousands that, you know, go unheard and people just suffer through. So sad stuff. But again, breaking news. We have more to see once the defense is finished with her. I'm sure there'll be more to discuss. Look, we had Sleepy Joe. Now we've got Doze and Donnie. Taking bribes is hard work. You go, you know, it makes you sleepy.
Being at the Pope's funeral was tough work, you know.
Hey, Lashana.
It's very disturbing. Very.
Hey,
it is. Look, double standards.
Oh yeah.
All I'm gonna say, you know, if it was still the previous administration, we'd be hearing about it for the next 17 years now.
We'd be beating our chests and crying
We're
about
still
it.
going to hear about it for the next 17 years. Shut
I
up.
never cared when
No, we
Biden
won't.
fell asleep or fell downstairs and stuff. Like, you know, it was kind of comical, but like, I don't know. I've stopped caring about all of this stuff because I know that they're just beating up so much drama all the time. It's like there's
Yeah.
far worse happening than him dozing off right now.
Oh yeah. I do like Dozing Donnie though. I'm going to use
Dozing
that.
Donnie.
Dozing Donnie.
The irony
I'm
of the
stealing it.
situation. The irony of the situation is the fact that it's kind of delicious. Is that he had just asked Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman if he slept at night. He's like, Mohammed, do you sleep at night? How do you sleep? What a job. He tosses and turns like some of us tosses and turns all night. How do I make it better? It's the ones who don't toss and turn. They're the ones who will never take you to the promised land.
What the hell?
Okay. I don't know what that even means, but okay. I don't even know what that means.
That's like a music quote, like a song lyric.
Well, that's a verbatim quote from the president of the USA.
Sounds like a song lyric.
It's not been on any American news. I've not heard that quote.
You haven't heard that quote?
Not at all.
It's all because we're too busy being on the island of Mattel.
Yes, I know. The country of Mattel.
Are you fucking with me? This is like a joke now. Like seriously.
Wait, what?
Mattel.
Yeah, what?
Oh, Mattel, the toy company.
Yeah,
the
Barbie.
The president thinks it's a country.
There were a lot of different CEOs speaking out against the tariffs, and one of those CEOs was the president of Mattel. And the comments the president of Mattel made is that Barbie will, I don't even remember what the comment was, something about Barbie will never be manufactured in the USA. That was so that there was, if his plan went through, Barbie would cost $30.
Yeah.
But
it
was presented to him, and these are the remarks from the president of Mattel. And he said, well, why don't, let's go visit that country. And he started to address it as if Mattel was a country and not this wasn't a CEO.
In the Barbie movie, it kind of was.
It was. You never know.
Yeah. Move on.
That was comical.
I can't.
Yeah,
I can't with that. I can't with that. Dogsy has a little quote. Oh, dude, I've been sipping on engineer tears all day because he says he doesn't believe in stealth and will be drawing his own plans for a fighter jet and wants to make twin-engine F-35s. He wants to take the most expensive and advanced jet on Earth and just slap an extra engine on it and then call it an F-55. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Cool.
He's a genius.
That sounds about right. He is a genius. Yeah, according to some. We'll see what happens next on our trip towards dementia.
Yeah, you're never getting in that country,
Allegedly.
bitch.
Yeah, look, I am there.
I'm never getting
letting-
out.
I'm not going to be
Deport me.
allowed in until for another 4 years, but you know,
And if
whatever.
I go out, they
We'll
won't
put-
let me back.
Donnie, go. If you ever watch this show, you'll know I never said anything real bad about you. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
All
in
right,
case.
He's the one who calls him Josie
Luke-
John.
Luke's
invite me
getting
on
the
his
Marjorie.
selfies, yeah.
Luke's doing the Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, I'm gonna get out before they find out I've done insider trading. Oh, nothing happened. Bye. Awful
Leave her
quiet, aren't you
alone.
now,
Her
Marjorie?
butch body.
You bitch.
Man.
Yeah.
We'll talk about bodies. I tried to post this article before, but it didn't post. A little bit of controversy again surrounding Meghan Trainor after her appearance at Wango Tango this week.
Oh, she
Uh,
She has changed the lyrics to All About That Bass to talk
Has
about
she?
her breast augmentation,
Oh.
saying that she
What
got
did she
new
say?
boobs. So instead of
She's got a
Okay.
few more procedures than the boobs.
yeah, so we all know. There's been a lot of it usually says I don't know size 2, but she changed the words to I got some new boobs because she's recently just had a
Oh,
breast
God.
augmentation. So obviously the doors are open, ladies and gentlemen, for the drama of you've betrayed body positivity. You're abandoning what made you famous. You just did it all for the money, and rah rah rah.
Yeah,
rah,
she
rah.
was fat for the money and then got skinny for the money. Sure, okay.
Yeah.
And so did
fucking
Adele,
hate
and so
these
did
kinds of
Ricky
fucking
Lake.
stories.
And,
So here's
know?
here's what she has to say about her breasts. First of all, after having kids, living a healthier lifestyle, losing weight, I couldn't be happy with my decision. I'm so obsessed. I've always struggled with loving my boobs before I got them done because they were never even. They were always sagging my whole life. And then she talks about how breastfeeding 2 children in such quick succession has, also taken its
Taking a
toll
fucking
on,
toll too. Yeah,
on
man.
her. Yeah.
They turned into
You know?
yam tits.
She also, well, that's what she goes. She goes, I've got to get used to my boobs not looking at the floor.
Yeah.
No, she's, of course, also she's getting big blowback for being on a GLP-1 and addressing, what she considers a weight, what she considered a weight issue. Her and her husband are both on medication. She says, we were like, we have to make sure we don't lose muscle. We've worked so hard at gaining all these years, just like we were fat. We stay in the gym, we work out, we eat right. We've just noticed that we are less hungry. And to her credit, if you go on Meghan's social media, you can see her in age working out in a gym. The woman's has just finished a tour. For someone that is, I can only imagine the dissonance for someone that is constantly scrutinized for what they look like.
Yeah.
Having to take the stage all the time,
Uh-huh.
If she's fat, she's a fat pig. If she loses weight, she's a traitor. There is no
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah.
Same with
There is
Adele,
no winning.
same with Ricky Lake.
With
Lizzo.
everybody.
You have to fight to get to any level of fame if your body isn't
Kelly Clarkson.
perfect.
Oh my god.
Kelly
Yeah.
Clarkson, yep. Yeah, Kelly.
And then when you lose weight, you've betrayed the cause, you've betrayed your fans. It's like it's nobody's fucking business
Yeah.
what
Oh my
anybody weighs.
God.
If she's a large woman and she performs, and that's okay with her fans, and that's fine. And if she loses weight, that should not affect her performance.
But you know
It
what?
probably does not.
For the average American, she isn't large. She never has been that large.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looked like she dared to have an average body and want to be an artist.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Do you remember the video from It's All About the Bass?
All about. She was not huge. She's not.
nuts,
She's not a huge person, and
Yeah.
like, I just like. You can't. There is no winning. Like,
No
yes,
winning.
she has money, and for anyone that I don't think you don't get to criticize people for trying to better themselves,
Right.
in whatever way they see fit.
It's all
Yes,
about
she
feeling
has
good in your own body.
She has
You
the
know?
money. Okay, and
Yeah.
yes, the GLP-1 stuff's expensive, but speaking from someone who is it's expensive. It's very expensive, but it has helped me in what I want to achieve and what I'm trying to achieve in a way that nothing else has in. Oh, well, look, I've been a performer since I was 8 years old. Discussion about my body, about how I should look, about how I'm not tall enough, too fat, too this, too that, too that, is something that has been soaking into my psyche for decades upon decades upon decades. And then you go and do something like a full-time performing arts course where you are forced to look at your body in a mirror every day for 8.5 hours, 9 hours, compared to the person next to you as to why they will get a job and you'll never work and da 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 da.
Right.
It takes its toll. It takes its toll. To do this in a healthy way, which some people aren't. Some people are just doing it to get, for aesthetics, like, as Hollywood does. Oh, it works, so I'll do it. But to do it in a healthy way, in a way that is going to prolong your life and, make you avoid sicknesses, diabetes, all that complications. I don't think it's anyone's place to criticize that, really. Like,
No, it's not. And it's ridiculous the amount of pressure that anybody who's performed, you talk about your performance career. I have only ever had an amateur performance career. I've been paid 18 times in my life. The rest of all my theater experience is amateur. And I auditioned for a show. I was told by the production staff that I was the only person who could sing the part, the only person who could act the part, the only person who could dance the part. Could I lose 75 pounds in 6 weeks?
Yeah.
And
even if, like, this whole thing about a GLP-1 or anything being cheating.
Yeah. But it's nobody's business. It's nobody's fucking business.
Why don't we then redirect that to these bodybuilders that are like, oh yeah, no, I like, that are using HGH and stuff. Oh, I'm not natty, bro. Like, we're praising these people for using drugs to gain mass to look aesthetically pleasant, where you're going to criticize people who are using this medication to make themselves healthier.
I hate to be my dead horse, but one of my favorite dead horses is the people using HGH are men, and the people using, GLP-1 are a mixed bag of tricks.
Not all of us. Not all of us. Yeah, look, there is a shortage, and look, there are shortages of stuff. I think the good thing in Australia is we are starting to get more options now. It was very much
there are
Ozempic or nothing in Australia, and now Wegovy, Majora, all that stuff is available here. And there are
forms that are specifically for
the off-brand medications are starting. I got offered one the other day. I was like, what? Next time I'm going to see it. Next time I'm going to see if it's fucking cheaper. That's for sure. I'll be like, how much less is it?
TikTok. She asked me a question about TikTok, and I didn't answer it. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, she's saying, look up Miss Shirley Boots on the ground. Everyone is heated. Okay, well, we'll look that up. We'll discuss it another time.
But Megan's always going to, and people don't like it.
Why is it cheating for celebrities, but not cheating for, like, a normal human like me?
It is cheating.
It's not
cheating. It's not fucking cheating.
No, but that's what people can.
That's what people are saying. Like, people call it cheating.
You go on people's. It is though. It is. If you go on a TikTok, like someone that is documenting their weight loss journey on on TikTok, people are going to go, "You're cheating by using medication." Even on just random people on TikTok, it's what people say. It is what people say,
right?
And
there is
growing. Insulin resistance is a thing. Like, it's not
evidence that
imaginary.
People beat cancer through holistic measures, through diet and health weight. But is it considered cheating if they take chemo? There are
Yeah,
people
exactly.
who overcome
How dare
blood
you.
pressure by diet and exercise, but is it cheating if they take a beta blocker? That's
Yeah.
just fucking bullshit. It's
Is it?
bullshit. It's medicine. It's better living through chemistry. Shut
Right.
up.
Okay.
Trust the science.
Shut up.
Science, exactly.
This is trust the science. Okay, I've got
Yeah.
I
a
believe it
a
was
question
trust the
for you here.
motherfucking science.
It was.
Viewed from here. Now, someone else that everyone really fucking hates, Lopez, recently spoke about how her divorce is being, how she's working through divorce with her her nearly adult children. They're getting there, but they'll be less than teenage. But she has talked about getting through it. She said she had a very intimate conversation with her kids. She said, "I promise you, this is a difficult time, but you're going to see that I'll come out the other side stronger and better. I promised them that, and I did that. I'm happier that I am a step further along than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I'm proud of myself for that, and I'm proud that I was able to navigate my children through difficult times so that they're stronger and better because of it." So, my question for you: how much information do you give children in a divorce situation? How do you explain that?
Well, I think her case is pretty specific because her divorce information's all over the news.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
that picture was pretty remarkable. I haven't seen the picture of her with her grown children. The daughter looks like her, is such a spitting image of her, and the son looks just like his dad.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing picture.
So,
Yeah.
it's a very look, as a child of parents that stay together.
Of parents?
No, that stay together for their child. I just think that honesty is always going to be the best policy. Of course, age appropriate knowledge is, people don't need to know the ins and outs of especially your children, don't need to know the ins and outs of your relationship. But there is an age appropriate way of explaining why, a home is divided, especially when in their case, their kids all became close friends. They lived together, like her kids, his kids, they became a blended family. And then to split that family, obviously that's a very unique situation there.
But she's always had chaotic relationships.
But I'm taking this out of the context of celebrity. So you've got to think. So Luke, when you split with your partner, you were kind of lucky that Buffy was very, very young, and I know she still has questions about X, Y, and Z, but what in your life experience, what do you think, especially that teenage years, how much information do you think is appropriate to give them?
Look, I think you only really need to tell children something that's relevant to them. Like in my particular circumstance, it's long gone in the wind. So I don't really feel, I think the lessons I learned from that relationship will be great to impart onto her, but it doesn't need to be specific to exactly what was going on, if that makes sense.
Well, speaking as a child of divorce, my parents split when I was 14, and I remember everything. They didn't have to tell me anything. It all happened, and I heard it, and I saw it, and I was on the stairs, and I heard the fight, and I was, in the basement, and I heard the fight, and it wasn't new news by the time they divorced. They didn't have to tell me anything.
I think it gets harder the more people get involved. If you
look, I don't know Jennifer Lopez, believe it or not, but I do believe the portrayal of her on South Park. I think South Park does people very, very accurately, and I'd say she's a complete nightmare. And I wouldn't be surprised if she'd weaponized stuff within her separation by using the kids and things like that, because I don't think she's a very nice person. I don't think her morals are where they should be, and nothing that she would do would surprise me ever.
But it's not about. I'm not having a conversation about her. I'm having a conversation about children.
Mhm.
So Dogsy, I actually agree with you, because I'm very much in the same boat. But with time comes a little bit of understanding. I think when you live a life a bit more, yeah, there's always two sides to every story, more than two sides to every story as well. So this is just a conversation. I'm not saying anyone's wrong or anyone's right. It's just a conversation piece. Sorry, Christina.
So as you know, my sister had a divorce, right? Married to Tim now, yeah, right? So the kids were very young, my nieces, when they split. Till this day, they don't know why my sister and their father split. If they were to ever ask, honestly, I feel like I would tell them. My niece Daisy is like one of my best friends. I know it's silly, but she'll be 13 in January, and I feel like if she ever wanted to ask, I would tell her, let my sister know, and I'm not going to be like, this is a piece of fucking shit.
Mhm.
She already sees that with her eyes. She's smart enough now to realize like what the difference is, and between her father and Tim, even or just even how happy her mom was after everything
Right.
happened. So
Yeah.
in my eyes, is it better that it happened to you at 14, Vera, where you could understand it, or was it better that when they were 3 and 2, when they couldn't understand it?
I can't say that definitively. All I know is my own experience. I
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
that once they split and the fighting stopped, I found everything was better.
Yeah, exactly. And kids
Um,
always know.
Yeah,
They may
they
not
do.
know
They know.
specifics, because if you live in a house like that, you know if you are not a total sociopath, you can pick up on other people's emotion, you can pick up on tension, you can see the
yeah.
little things. You
And,
might not
and
understand
like
what
I
it
said,
means.
nobody had to tell me. It wasn't that my father weaponized any information against my mother. He never had to tell me that my mother was mentally ill. That all came to me in time as I grew up and I grew to understand what was going on in my house. But
And that I
I
think
just
that's
feel
also
like
the hard thing. Sometimes you do have to wait for them to come back around and go, okay, I see, but I can see both sides of the
and
of
now
the
as a
story.
psych nurse where I deal with mental health issues every single day, I understand my mother with an entirely different
And
lens.
that gives
You know,
that gives you a more insight into.
you know.
yeah, I was gonna say like it's funny because sometimes with kids of divorce, I'm not saying every kid, I'm just saying from what I've heard, like more than 50% are like, oh, I fucking hate my mom, like, and it's like I would never want my kids to hate me if that ever happened, like my daughter picks up on a lot of shit already, and she's 5, so it's like I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
imagine at 14 how she's
And
gonna be and
And
what
if
she's gonna hear.
right, if Luke is right and she's weaponizing information, there will be a point where her children see that for what it is
exactly.
too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
There
know.
does,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think what's most important, for people in general, is that there doesn't have to be a villain if there's not something villainous done.
Right.
Sometimes things just don't work, or they stop working.
Yeah.
They may have worked
Right.
for X,
Right.
Y, and Z without the pressure
Oh
of
yes.
kids and an economy and a house and jobs and all that kind of stuff.
And there are
Things
plenty of
can exist in a
divorces that
bubble.
don't involve a mentally ill mother.
Yeah, life changes. There are so many variables, and it doesn't always have to be the case that this person was wrong and this person was right.
Right. Right.
Sometimes things just fall apart, and the best thing that you can do is support. And what it sounds like, even though we may question her motives personally, professionally, she's supporting her kids through what they need.
Mm-hmm.
She's still very supportive. She still has a relationship with his kids, which is
Right.
super important as well, because you know to
She's
to
still
take
mom,
someone.
you know?
Yeah.
And she was still, you know, involved in Ben's kids' lives for an extended amount of time. So
Mhm.
to
Yeah, I think
just
there was a
cut that
picture of
off
them
is very
together just a
cruel.
month or two ago.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
I do applaud her for that, and I think it's especially in this modern world where, you know, we do have a higher turnover of partners, etc. It's worth always thinking about and going, hey, how do, because as Dogsy said, what you experience at that age kind of sets you a little bit on your path to your
Oh no,
adult life, and you
I
know.
had a very similar issue as Dogsy talked about. I had very little trust for other people years into my adulthood. You know, I
Yeah,
might
that
have
was
married if I could trust someone before I was 30.
right, exactly,
Mhm.
and that's how I was going to end the conversation. As Dogsy says, there's always the nuclear option. Ship them off to an orphanage. Tell them you both died in a mugging gone wrong, and hope that they become Batman. Look, we all need a
Bad
hero,
guys are
right?
gonna kill me.
We
And
all
hope-
need a hero, and sometimes that hero has to let off steam. So our resident hero is about to do her due diligence. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Viewer Vote. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, the Vanta.
It's been another remarkable week here in Trumplandia. What can I say? There is a very, very important case in front of the Supreme Court right now that could decide the fate of the American Constitution. I should say the United States Constitution, because as Canada is so quick to point out, we're not the only country in the continent. Anyway, the Trump administration is before the Supreme Court today deciding the fate of naturalized citizenship. And there's lots of people who feel like the president can decide if you were born to non-American parents, even if you were born in this country, you don't get to be a citizen. But there's a lot of other people who say, you know, if you are here because your parents came here without documentation, does that make you a criminal? Does that mean that you have to be deported to a country you've never been to, that you may not speak the language at, that you may not even know anybody there? I mean, so far they've deported a 4-year-old who was here for cancer treatment, a 2-year-old who can barely speak English or barely speak any language, let alone English. You know, I mean, but the far-reaching aspect of this I talked about in February, that if birthright citizenship disappears, none of us are citizens. Any of us can be deported. Any one of us can be thrown out of this country if birthright citizenship goes away. You know, and if it's all about parents who are here illegally, let's talk about Elon Musk's 14 kids. Let's talk about Donald Trump's children, who all were born of, except for one of the 5, were all born of mothers who were not here legally. You know, are we deporting them? Are they, you know, we know the answer to that because we watched the Trump administration welcome 80 white Africans with flags and free phones and free housing and all the shit that they accused the Biden administration and any Democratic administration of giving to illegals, but they're giving to all these white people that came over. And they're saying they're refugees because they're fleeing political persecution. But even the people in South Africa say, there's no black on white crime here. They're just mad because now there's equality and they don't like it. And a lot of people are saying that they're not the engineers and the wealthy and the upper class and the educated elite of South Africa. These are the South African hillbillies. We just invited Jethro and Ellie Mae to come over here and be a shining example of our white supremacist United States of America. And let's not pretend it means anything else. But apart from from that overreaching arc of this Supreme Court case, the other overreaching arc that I don't think anybody is paying attention to is that if Donald Trump or any president can totally disregard the Constitution and eliminate any one of the amendments or the articles with an executive order, then the Constitution might as well be toilet paper. We do not have a democracy. We have a dictatorship. And I hope to God that this court does the right thing. And I hope to God that every single American is paying attention, because this is about brown people in this moment, but it's about every single one of us in the greater moment. You know, you could be deported for saying you don't like the president. You could be deported for being in the wrong party. You could be deported for not paying enough worship money. If you're not tithing enough of your salary to dear leader, he could decide to deport you. And where's he going to deport you if you've only ever known this country? Where are you going to end up? You're going to end up in El Salvador? You're going to end up in some concentration camp? Let's remember, Auschwitz was not in Germany. It was in Poland. Pay attention, kids. Shit's happening every day. And this is going to affect us for a long fucking time.
Well said, Vera. Thank you again for a hot take.
Yeah.
Hot opinion. Hot off the presses, ladies and gentlemen. There is more news. It's a very news-breaking kind of day today. The millennials in the audience will shriek with joy. A new Slayer has been chosen once in every generation. She will stand alone. She has the skill to strength to hunt the vampires and the forces of darkness. Our new Slayer for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer reboot is Ryan Kira Armstrong. She has previously been seen in Star Wars Skeleton Crew and the Firestarter remake. She was the little girl in Firestarter. She'll be starring opposite Sarah Michelle Gellar in the Hulu-produced, they're saying pilot, but I'm pretty sure we're going
It'll
to
be
series
fine.
with this. It'll be going to series. Even
And
if it's yes.
I sort of don't like when we say reboots now, we think like people are erasing the
It's
past.
a requel.
This is definitely, a continuation of the old show where Buffy's now a woman, an older woman in universe, and that she'll be mentoring this young Slayer.
We will see what happens because, millennials are in power. We like things that make us comfortable, but I have to leave you with something that'll make you uncomfortable. In this week's What the... Now, never let it be said that, things go unnoticed. Sometimes you just have to give people the option to do better. To the lady who defecated on our driveway at approximately 7:15 a.m. this morning, the 25th of April, while walking your dog, you were recorded on our security camera defecating on our private driveway. We have clear video footage of the incident. You have 48 hours to return and properly clean up the mess. If not, we'll have no choice but to circulate photos from the footage to identify you. Please do the right thing.
Oh
Call
my
the fucking
God.
cops.
She shit on the driveway, not the doggy.
No, she
Call
shit on the
cops. You're not
driveway.
allowed to shit on somebody else's driveway. Call the cops.
Oh my God.
Look,
Yeah,
I think
Right?
it's
What are
just
you
proof.
doing?
I don't think there's
Proof.
reasoning with that kind of person either. I think, report that one.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I mean,
it is.
let the cops make her come clean it up. You can tell the police, I just want her to come clean it up. They can go knock on her door and say, listen, you go clean it up. It's all forgotten. You don't, we're taking you in.
I think they need to put that video up
They probably
anyway.
didn't do it.
Shame, shame, shame.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Well, I mean, as a nurse, there are times when people just have accidents. But, if you've got the poop bag, you're cleaning up after the dog, clean it up after yourself.
But you don't shit on their driveway. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure, maybe
Go in the garden or something. Like, no, this is weird.
Yeah.
between two parked cars, hoping nobody would see her, not knowing that there was a camera watching her ass. Literally.
And like Doggy said, you're gonna leave it there for 2 fucking days for her to hopefully come and get it out.
for
Like,
48
no.
hours.
Well, look,
No.
it's Australia. This did happen in Australia. It's been very wet here lately. It's probably not still there after 2 days, to be honest with you.
Well, if
Probably
it's easier to
fertilizing
clean
the
day
garden.
1, then it's going to be to clean day 2.
What a
Yeah.
dirty mutt.
I think it's just proof positive, ladies and gentlemen, of the age-old saying, shit happens, quite literally. So
Quite
thank you for
literally.
joining us this
Yeah, like,
week.
I
We've
mean-
managed to make it. We've managed to make it to the end of the show without my internet connection dropping out.
Yay.
Yay. I'm excited.
Christine
I
was
said it
about to
feels
say
like you're
something.
living in 1995. That they can't reinstate your fucking account, number one, and the fact that they can't just like shoot a signal to reset your fucking Wi-Fi.
You know
like,
how it
I
goes.
think that's-
You know how it's always easy to take something off you, but to give you something it always takes time.
You know,
But isn't there like a grace period?
I'm a little ADD, and I forget to pay my bills that aren't on auto pay all the time. And my Spectrum
Yeah.
account can turn back on in 35 seconds.
Not so
Yeah,
much. But
same. Like, what the
I
fuck?
think
hopefully next
everyone,
week.
as we go into the credits, we should all do our own Buffy the Vampire Slayer poses. I think that's just the right thing to do for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Vera hasn't seen it, so you can't.
Never seen
Just a
it.
fighting
I
stance,
only
Vera.
even wanna-
Alright.
There you go.
We will keep. Oh, Christina, I like it. We'll keep on fighting the good fight. We will see you next week on Uncensored Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Just keep your shit together and keep your shit to yourself. Bye.